Daniel, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Do I have
Excellent.
to click on this thing that says Member Susan Blake in order to show my face? No, Todd said-
Yeah, the bottom left hand.
You should
we're
in
not
the upper
seeing it.
right
The bottom
corner.
left hand corner.
Wait,
Or
you're
your-
both talking. One person, please.
In your upper right corner of your view on your screen, there's a
Speaker
blue
view?
box. Yeah, so where you look where it says Member Susan, you have a little rectangle. In the upper right corner is a blue box with some dots in it. Click
Okay,
on that, and then it says Start Video.
thank you. Hello.
Okay. There you go.
Hi.
And then when you want to
Works.
mute yourself, you go up the other corner. You'll see the mute button come next to it, upper right corner of your screen of your screen, just showing your view, not your entire screen, but just the view of you.
Okay, there's a thing that says mute. Okay,
Mute, and that's how you turn it on and off.
okay.
Hello, Susan.
Hi. Nice to see your face without a mask.
Exactly.
I talked to Laurel a little bit ago. She's coming to meeting.
Good.
Oh. And hello, Daniel Grin.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello back.
Bryn, we won't see your face, is that right?
That's right. I make a lot of funny faces, so I thought it's probably best just. I had a picture on there before.
Yeah.
The reason we have this is because I was showing up twice because I'm the host.
Oh,
Our IT manager actually operates because it's beyond what I can do. At the same time, I take minutes.
okay. So now you look like the water tower.
Yeah. So he did that. That was because I was getting embarrassed by having my face on there twice.
Okay. Hello, Chair folks.
Hello, how's everyone?
Good, how you
Hanging
doing?
in?
Hang in there.
Excellent. Hold on, I'm just
Okay.
getting my minutes. It's funny, I opened these like this afternoon and it would write on top of things, and I've had so many crises. Now there's like 12 things on top of the minutes, or the agenda.
So I think we're waiting for Laura.
Yep. I was just looking to see. Yep, okay. I'll give her a minute.
That might be her. I heard a ping.
I think that was on my side. So Daniel, does the city have any guidance for trick or treating besides the state guidance?
All guidance is emanating from the county and the state. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be too challenging if all the cities added to that mix with their own guidance.
There's been
Hard
some
enough to figure it out
clever
now.
alternatives. I don't know if you guys have seen them. Somebody used a huge piece of PVC pipe and put it on an angle from the porch and puts the candy in it and shoots it down the sidewalk, and the kids put their bag on the other end, score! And then I thought it was pretty cool.
That's fun.
Down, it's hysterical.
And then somebody else here in downtown Campbell rigged a pulley from the tree to the house with a witch on it, and the witch has a pumpkin, and they put candy in the pumpkin and they let the witch go, and the witch goes down and crashes up against the tree, and the candy comes out and the kids go get it, and then they go on. So people are coming up with some pretty clever things. Not me,
Yes.
I'm not, but
My Halloween days are done.
Come on, Laura, what are you doing?
Hopefully we're not having any difficulties.
I can try calling her if that would help, but I don't want to push any buttons here. Do you want me to try calling her or not?
Idea.
Sure.
Okay. I'm doing it on an old landline.
Excellent.
Let's see. Hey, Laura, you getting on? You're what? Um, She said I beg your pardon? Yes, and you clicked that. And do you see the screen in front of you? Okay.
Well,
Did
can you?
Did you click that? And nothing happened. Okay. I can't walk you through this. I don't know what to say.
Watching the.
I can let you talk to Daniel. I can give Daniel your telephone number. He can maybe talk you through it or walk you through it, or maybe Todd can. So do you want me to give Todd your telephone number and he will try to walk you through it? Okay. Todd, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so her telephone number that I'm speaking with her on right now is 408
Okay.
460 7048. All right, I'm going to hang up, Laura. Bye. I attended a Zoom meeting last week with the Santa Clara Valley Water District, and there were 29 people.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Well, I've learned one thing you don't want to do on Zoom with more than about 10 people, especially 40 or 50, is sing happy birthday. My Rotary Club keeps trying to do that, and it's horrible.
Do you get feedback?
Well, you get feedback, but also nobody's in tune. Everyone's off, right? Everyone's stepping at each other. It's just, yeah. It's not good. Well, I just got off a Zoom call with, I believe, 4 California governors.
Ah, excellent.
So, yeah, current one, and is this governor's task force I'm staffing Tim on. But it was very funny to see, there's Gray Davis in that little square over there, and there's
Pat Brown over there, not Pat Brown, Jerry Brown.
There's Jerry Brown, yeah. So it was very funny.
Wow.
It's kind of funny to see. It's very, I think, a much more democratic process when everyone's just in their little, Hollywood square box. Yeah.
Over there.
Are we getting anywhere? I don't know. What's the funniest thing that happened at the meeting? Oh, the cat. In the middle of a rather tense argument, a cat got up and walked right against the person who was trying to make this very important point. Meow. So that kind of broke up the tension.
Nice. Yes, my kids are very concerned whenever I'm in their Zoom background.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy, walk through the other room. Don't walk.
Yeah.
I don't
Close
want
the door behind you.
Yeah, people don't want to see you.
Yep. How are they doing? How are the kids doing with all this?
It's tough. I mean, they're lucky, right? They've got a lot of support and help, and and I can work from home, so relatively we're in kind of a privileged place. But overall, these kids aren't learning. I mean, they're learning at about half speed they normally would.
Right.
But, there's very little. It's even one-on-one help is very hard when you can't be looking over the kid's shoulder and seeing what they're writing or whatever. Right? So, so it's tough. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is getting kids back to school, and and just economically, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you read the article in the New York Times, I think it was yesterday, about how women are rolling back to 1988 in terms of.
Yes, I did read that.
Yeah.
Very disturbing information that I can't do everything. So.
Yeah. So
Thank God for the New York Times, though. Oh my God. That and Barat. Do you know about Barat?
No.
Oh dear.
Julie,
Okay, we'll talk about this offline. He's a very funny comedian.
it was a very gotcha moment for Giuliani.
Oh,
Yes, it was.
right. Yes.
You kind of know who we're talking about now?
Yeah. No, I never saw the film, but I've seen little outtakes. Yeah.
Okay.
The first film. Yeah.
He's been doing this kind of thing for a few years.
Yeah.
And he has no pride, absolutely no pride. He'll do whatever he needs to do to get what he wants to get out of other people's foolishness.
Yeah.
He just exposes them for all their stuff.
It's amazing.
Oh, and do you know about Randy Rainbow?
I love that guy.
No.
Corinne knows. You don't know about Randy Rainbow?
I don't know about, but I know he does.
Oh, well, he's a comedian as well.
I
And he's a Broadway trained musician, an artist, singer, and funny as, and he does parodies in song
No.
while mock interviewing President Trump or his wife or whatever, but it's all in verse, in song.
Oh,
But you should check it out. It'll make you laugh.
all right.
And we need to laugh because it's
Exactly.
crazy.
Well, yeah. After watching I spend all day on Zoom calls with things that aren't so funny. So I'll
No, that's
check it out
really true.
tonight.
Probably.
And what do you get the Chronicle? Do you get the San Francisco Chronicle?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you see today's story about the cat that's running for mayor of 55th Street in Oakland?
No.
Oh, well, he's running for re-election, but he has 3 opponents: another cat named Betty and 2 dogs, and they're all vying for mayor of 55th Street in Oakland. And it's a kids project. The kids built the signs. They've got lawn signs out front. So it's a really good story. Check it out if you can. It's in the local section of the Chronicle.
I'll check it out. Yeah, it's very funny because mom's now moved back to the carriage house. So she gets the physical papers first. And because for her, reading the paper is like required every morning. And
Well,
then I get them afterwards, right? So I read them at night.
Coffee and where are the papers? Come on, where are you?
Yep.
Yeah. And now they're giving us the Wall Street Journal for free. I could pass on that one. But,
No.
So we get the Mercury, the New York Times, and the Chronicle. And there's lots of papers. How we doing?
So she's having problems because she's using her personal email that has some link there that's not working. And then I forwarded the email that I received from the Outlook one from the city.
Mhm.
She tried that one and it won't go through. So I don't know, Daniel or Corinne, can either one of you send her another link to her personal email right now? She doesn't have the Outlook one set up on her system or something. So she's been using her personal email still for everything. So if someone can send one to her and see if she can try to relink it.
Well, I did that.
This is Cecil from IT. I just forwarded, I think, to Corinne and Daniel a phone number she can dial in.
Just do audio.
Yeah, just do audio. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Okay. So I'll give her a call back and let her know about that.
Okay, and I can. So Daniel, Corinne, if you can forward that to Member Walter. I'm sorry.
Well, if I go into my city email, I'm going to lose the meeting.
That shouldn't happen, but it should be fine.
Hey, Daniel, can you forward it?
Right, Lois, Todd. They just sent you another email with the link, but this time you can use the phone number that's in there and call in, so you at least can be linked that way. So do you know how to do that one? So when you get it, you'll see a phone number, a whole bunch of numbers listed down below well, you call in, and then it's going to say, type in your meeting ID number followed by the pound sign, which is listed down below the phone numbers. And then it's going to ask you to type in your participation code followed by the pound sign. When you do all of that, then you will be connected via a phone, just not through the your computer. All right, so give that a shot. All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Todd.
Sure. Oh, she'll try to call in here in a second. We'll see how that works.
Okay.
And did we lose Daniel now?
Probably trying to send her the phone number.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, wait a sec to get started, but I know we're 15 minutes into it, so we're gonna have to start one way or the other.
At least we don't have anybody waiting. This is just a house.
All right, sorry about that. My other computer was not working for a moment there. Can you hear me at all?
Yep,
We can
we hear
hear
you.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, the computer's was having difficulty there. All right, so Karine, what I was thinking is that maybe we email Laura the general public link. Let me pull that up on my phone, and then she can log in as a member of the public.
And then I think Cecil can put her into us.
Exactly. So give me a moment. Let me pull that up.
They were going to try to do audio with her, Daniel.
Okay.
I don't know why her personal email didn't work though, because I added her to the Zoom meeting with her personal email.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. She says she's clicked both launch meeting and open meeting, and then she said nothing happens.
Yeah, because we're not required to have a city email to get into a meeting. We get all of our visitors are using their personal emails.
Correct.
All right, well, shall we get started and hope she can join us?
Yeah, I just sent her the link right now.
All right, great. Well, I know we got some procedural stuff first, so hopefully she'll get in before the meat of things. So why don't we go ahead and call the regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Board for October 28th. Could we have a roll call, please?
Chair Folks,
Here.
Board Member Blake,
Here.
Board Member Walter,
Here.
and Board Member Kendall is absent.
Great, and hopefully Board Member Moore will be joining us. So we have first thing on, I don't think we have any agenda modifications or postponements.
We do not.
Okay. So approval of the minutes, you have in your packets the September 29th, 2020 minutes. Do I have a motion second to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 29th, 2020.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion or corrections?
No.
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that passes. Oral communication. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board on matters of community interest not listed on the agenda? I didn't think so. All right, do we have any board or staff announcements?
Two announcements. As I had informed the board via email, board member Kendall has resigned from the board. So the city clerk's office will commence a recruitment for a new board member, but because of the holidays and the pending city council election, it will likely be at least 3 months before a new candidate is selected. That might also be a little longer because we are trying to identify a candidate that meets the professional qualifications required for 2 of the 5 board members through the certified local government program. So we'll have to be patient with the recruitment, and hopefully we do identify someone by next year.
Okay.
And then also we do need to reschedule the December meeting per board Chair Folks' request. It looks like we do have the 2 dates, December 2nd and December 16th. I mean, I would offer that December 2nd would be probably the more ideal date, just given the holidays. So if barring any objections, I think we can proceed with that date.
That will work for me.
Works for me.
Well, thank you all. Yeah, that works for me, and that's appreciate your indulgence. I'm chairing another city meeting that day, so it's a good time. Our normal date.
Okay.
Any board members announcements or items of interest?
Oh, I have nothing.
All right, then we don't have any public hearings today, so this will be a relatively quick meeting. Let's move on to new business. So I'll let Daniel get into this, but as you know, the mayor has been reaching out to the different boards and commissions and hosting meetings where really trying to kind of get a dialogue across different groups and to try to create more synergy between the different arms of the boards and commissions of the city, and to share her vision of kind of what she wants to accomplish. So out of that, we have a more formal process here, and I'll let Daniel kind of describe that and what we need to accomplish today.
Correct. So the mayor has requested that each board and commission select a liaison to the new commission collaborative. So this will be a formal body that will be subject to the Brown Act, to all the ethical and public notification restriction provided by the Act. The mayor did request that the board select a liaison at the most immediate next meeting, which is this meeting. So by majority vote, we do need the board to select an individual to serve as the liaison.
And this is, do we know, Daniel, how often they expect to meet?
I'm afraid not. The email that I provided in the packet was all the information that we received to date.
And they didn't go in.
Oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Chair Folks, would you be able to continue in that capacity, or would you prefer someone else take that?
It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to have somebody else do it. It's really
okay. I did speak briefly with board member Moore, and she is interested in doing it. However, she's not available to have this conversation, so I don't know what's going to happen with that.
And I would also add, it might be valuable to also select a backup liaison in case there are scheduling conflicts.
Okay.
And do we know in more detail what this position does? Is it theirs? Is it, do all these people from all the boards meet at one time with the mayor, or is it each individual person meets with the mayor? And what are they discussing?
My understanding is that it will be a new body composed of representatives of each board and commission that will then meet together in the same manner that we're meeting right now.
Okay. Yeah, and I think part of the notion is that we tend to have, siloed work that often people aren't aware of. So we talked about the activities we're doing, right, and doing the kind of sidewalk survey of new areas to identify, possible future houses to put on our list. We talked about the Mills Act. We talked about heritage trees and what we do with that. And obviously that there's some planning commission aspects of that. There are some Parks and Rec Commission aspects of that. And obviously, the bike folks. So there's a lot of, I think, that the idea is that we don't necessarily read each other's minutes, so at the council level, they hopefully have an idea of all the different things we're working on. But I think the mayor's view was to have more organic coordination happening right before things get to them, so that we all kind of, the idea, Daniel, of having like a person and a backup, just because, right, for these meetings are going to be, hard to schedule, so it'd be good to have more than one person available to cover them.
Exactly. And then, the liaison will also be able to report back to the board based on the discussion items that have been discussed as part of the commission collaborative.
Yep.
To keep the communication going.
Are you able to hear me?
We hear you, Laura. Can you hear
Yes.
us?
Good. Okay, good. I've been listening to the meeting, but I'd like to actually be able to speak as well. So, okay.
Perfect.
We've got you.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Perfect timing.
So any questions or discussion?
Well, I think maybe let Laura in on what we've just discussed as far as the being a liaison with the mayor's group.
Yes. Yes.
So did you hear our discussion?
I heard up to the last 2 minutes,
Oh,
but I heard the discussion when the topic was brought up.
okay. So Chair Folks has said that he might be interested in staying on, but that we're also looking for a backup person. And I
Good.
said you were also interested in being on, so I wanted to know if you wanted to speak to that issue.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take over.
Yes, I would actually like to do that. And I would like to be the backup person.
Okay. So do we need to take a vote on this, or
Yeah, this has to be a vote, so we'll only need a motion.
Yes.
can it be double-headed? Can we do backup and first place, or do we have to do them
No,
separately?
I think we could do it together.
Okay, Todd, you do this
Okay.
one. Todd, can you make the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that we appoint Chair Folks as the lead liaison and Board Member Moore as the second alternative backup to the program.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Blake,
Aye.
Member Moore,
Aye.
Member Walter,
Aye.
Mayor Foltz.
Chair, aye.
4-0.
Great. So that passes. Excellent. Thanks, guys. And we've got our last item of business is a update on our Mills Act subcommittee. So I'll turn it over to the subcommittee.
Okay. If you don't mind, Todd, I'm going to go ahead and start.
Sure.
Okay, so based on the consensus that the board was able to achieve at the last meeting, Todd and I have continued to work on the update. And we're running into some glitches with identifying the monetary money, what's come in, what's going out. It's very complicated. I'm going to let Todd talk to you some more about that. But I did want to let you know that I have started to do a couple of things, and I'd like to send them in as drafts. One of the things we discussed was the Mills Act frequently asked questions. We wanted to include that. And so I have a draft of, 5 so far, just to get the ball rolling, give us some ideas to work on. And the other thing I started to work on was a revised list of conditions of approval. And I took into consideration the discussion we had around this, because it's pretty important. And I've got it nailed down to 2 primary categories. Number 1 under primary is structural integrity, and number 2 is exterior architectural integrity. And I put a number of examples, and I will share that with you as well. And then under a secondary category, insulation, heating and air conditioning, and protected trees from the tree ordinance, because that was part of our discussion last time too. So if it's okay with everybody, I'm going to send these drafts in for you guys to look at, and then maybe we get more feedback when we meet again in November. Okay?
December.
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 Oh, are we not meeting in November?
Correct. So the board
Yeah.
had set a schedule back in January that canceled the November meeting. So
Oh.
we had originally scheduled the meeting for December 9th, but now that will be rescheduled to December 2nd.
Oh, yeah, because the 25th is
The day before.
before Thanksgiving. Gotcha.
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Back.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're working on making the changes we talked about the last time. My homework assignment that I'm starting to dwell into is looking at pulling the cost component of the Mills Act, which is going to be a twofold: one for our contract and how we're going to, we talked last time about giving examples for different values of different homes, so that when we go to the council, we can show that, for a $500,000 home, this is kind of this tax savings, et cetera, et cetera. Here's $1 million, et cetera, et cetera. At the same time, we're looking at the current valued homes that we're doing the audit on. And so we're seeing that on the audit side, what documentation that we've received from the owners is missing information, which will help us then be able to do also the calculation. So it's a kind of a two-pronged component. And so without going into a lot of detail, we're still working on it. So I've got to follow up with Daniel and Susan to see how we can get more of the cost information from the current homes to then fill in the blanks, to then be able to do both pieces kind of simultaneously, if that makes sense to everybody.
And then there's one more thing that I think you were going to try to take a look at, if you could, is to look at what other cities are doing as far as having a 10-year limit on Mills Act contracts, because that was a big target of our discussion last time too. So, okay, so that's pretty much where we are.
I do have one thing to add to that, because I tend to find Mills Act to be what we have come up with and other cities have, to encourage preservation. And I think, rather than be super nitpicky about it, we really want to encourage people to love their houses, because that's pretty much what it takes if you own a historic house. And I really think that we need to keep it as simple as possible, but make ourselves more involved with the process by checking up on it and doing a lot of the things that have been suggested in the previous meeting that I read through. But I really think that we should be encouraging preservation, and it doesn't end. I have been in my house almost 40 years. It never ends. It's not like, oh, you're going to just fix it. It's going to be perfect forever. It really never ends. And there's always, it just never ends. And the benefit is there to keep people taking care of their home. And the reasons for the original contracts were for that reason of why it just continues on like that. I do know people that have them, and it has worked for people that have them. Not in Campbell, I don't know. But it isn't like people are like jumping on the bus to get one. We need to make it more user-friendly, not so complicated that no one wants to bother.
Yeah, Laura,
just my opinion.
And I think there's a way to do both, right? I mean, I think and again, this is all in the world of scarcity, where we ideally have more applicants than we have, right? I mean, the idea is, I think at the end of this, is that we make the program so user-friendly that a lot more people apply. So then we're having to pick haves and have-nots, right, in terms of people getting it. And hopefully
I don't really ever see that happening, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean,
the people that love their houses are few and far between, and every year we lose property. It's not like we have a growing inventory.
No, we're shrinking inventory.
It's shrinking constantly. People are always, oh, get rid of that old thing. I'm telling you, it's just not. I mean, we need to encourage people loving their history. Dig them out, find them, make sure they get the house and get an advantage to having it and keeping it. It's just not a financial thing. It's getting so technical in this discussion that, a normal person that isn't 100% motivated by money isn't going to care. It's not just a money thing. It's a passion. And, I've lived a long time. There's some people interested and some that never will be. You got to capture the ones that are, make it valuable to them. We're just not going to have any history left if we don't.
Well, I think, Laura, if I can jump in, I think one of the things on the money side is that we're trying to show when we do these calculations, or we're going to show to the city what the actual impact is. To date, I don't think anybody actually knows the impact. We talked about it,
Well, it
10
would
years
be-
ago about this idea that you get money back and you can apply it to your project and whatever, but there's been no calculations that I've seen, and I'm sure the city has not seen, the council has seen on a specific home as an example of, hey, this is how much they normally
Right.
paid in taxes, here's how much they saved, and this is how much we apply, et cetera.
Right.
So by doing this, when we go to the city council
Right.
and say, here's our revised contract, and here's the money part of it, and we show them that there's a benefit, and or even if there
Right.
is money that maybe they thought they were receiving but not getting, that this council might say,
Right.
hey, it's not that big of an impact, but we're seeing that we're saving everything. Then they may go, oh,
Right.
wow, okay, well, then put the money aside. We see that it's not an issue. Let's then just make sure the contract is working for everybody. So we're looking at
Right.
this as a positive. You might be looking at this
I think
as a negative, but we're looking at this money calculation as a positive to show the council that it's not an impact. Therefore, it's going to benefit everybody.
Well, we did do that when we actually got the council to agree to have it. So all of that information should be in our original application. They did figure out what the cost savings would be and what the amount that the city was losing would be, which was minimal. We already did this part, but it was a different council and there were different, board members. Why don't we figure out how to encourage it? No matter who the board member is, even when we get a new one for Yvonne, so that we participate with it and, look at it every year and that it wasn't just turned over to the city and we never hear about it again. Let's keep it as something that we encourage and participate with so we actually know what's going on. I think we need to be more hands-on with it. Not in making decisions. I realize there are parts of this that the city has to do, but we have changing council members constantly, and we're going to have, some new ones coming up. I think we need to put it together in a way that it benefits who we want it to benefit. Historic preservation. That is our focus. Keeping Campbell, actually historic and not letting it go by the wayside with signs that promote it as a historic downtown Campbell. We need to make sure that we address that and keep it that way and not nitpick too many of the details on how it happens. Make sure that the intent of the Mills Act is to keep our history intact and not let it go, and to encourage people to love their house, because that's pretty much what it is. We don't want someone that buys a house and gets a Mills Act wants to keep the house. Someone that buys a house and has in the back of their mind they're going to tear it down and put 3 houses on that lot, it's a whole different story. We need to encourage the ones that intend to keep the house historic.
So if I can ask then, Laura, is that based on the mini minutes from the last meeting where we went through item by item and had a discussion, what things do you want to change?
Well, I wouldn't make it so, I wouldn't limit it. I mean, the house isn't going to be.
We need more tangible information. We can't just,
Okay.
we're
I
talking,
wouldn't limit
we're
the
talking
timing.
esoteric right now.
I
We
wouldn't
need
start playing
specifics.
around with all the details. I would keep the ongoing, it re-ups every year. It is passed on to the next owner. It is. I want to keep it simple. Keep it encouraging historic preservation. I think sticking to the exterior of the house actually makes sense, and structural and exterior visibility, that's definitely that detail. And what I would really like to see is more participation from the preservation board, not just turning it over to the city. We're the ones that care about preservation. We should be involved with how it happens and how it's administered.
Okay.
I definitely don't want to limit it. I don't think we're ever going to have so many people applying that we have to pick and choose, whose is more worthy.
Well, I mean, I think right now the barrier to entry is the fact that it's kind of a black hole. Nobody knows really the criteria and whether they're going to get approved or not. And there's a substantial cost, right? It's thousands of dollars to apply. And
Is it $1,500 or how much to apply?
I forgot.
$1,500.
1,500, yeah.
$1,500? That's probably reasonable.
I heard from Yvonne Campbell that she paid $1,750 when she applied.
Oh.
I don't know when she applied, so
Huh.
maybe it's gone
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But I do think if you have clear criteria and it's set out and gee, I have these old double hung rotting windows, and from a cost perspective, I want to put in aluminum. But gee, there's this program the city has that if I do it the correct way and actually have them rebuilt, even if it's costing me 3x, there is a Mills Act benefit that I have a very good chance of getting because it's really set out in the materials as the exact type of project that we're looking at. I think we'll get more people applying. And that for me it's, in an ideal world with unlimited Mills Acts, then you're right, because any old house, you have a lot of upkeep. But as you recall, in the last application we approved, they wanted things like a microwave and a bunch of things that had nothing to do with preservation. And that was in their application.
I don't know anything about that application. I never saw it.
Yeah.
When was that approved?
It was at one of our board meetings where you may not have been there.
Yeah,
And it was approved?
correct. So
Wow.
I think the idea is that we want to make sure that, well, and of course, as you said, Laura, we want people who love their houses, but since all the paperwork that these people have an obligation to file, we haven't seen, or they haven't filed, again,
Right.
I don't think you penalize people who are doing a good job. But I think as Daniel talked about in an earlier meeting that maybe you weren't at, we have to have an ending date on the contract in order. If it just renews all the time, there's basically no impetus to say, okay, you haven't met your requirements and now it ends. So that's, I think the idea is if somebody's doing all the right things, it can be an evergreen, but but if they're not, frankly, right, it's, I'd rather kind of find somebody else who really needs it, because again, I think, and this is just one person's opinion, but just in talking to the few people I know who have, and not even really historic houses, but older houses here, I see all the time that decision-making between, well, my contractor said to do it the way it was built is 3x versus doing it the cheap and dirty way now. And I do think to me, I want to encourage as many people as possible not to make that bad choice. But
I agree. But we're not dealing with any houses that aren't already on our list, are we?
No.
And they always have to go through. They're on the list. They can't go in and do the dirty because when they apply to do it, it has to meet the requirements of being on the list. We're not talking about Mills Acts for people with an old house. We're talking about people that are on the list on our state survey, on our city survey.
You're talking about the inventory, Laura?
Yeah, the inventory.
Okay.
We're talking about 130 properties, correct? If there are that many left. As far as I know, I didn't think that there was. And I was completely unaware of someone wanting a microwave, but I'd say I would like to look at the contract. I've never heard of anyone applying for that. It is mostly structural and windows and roofs and water pipes and plumbing and air and heat and all that stuff, whatever keeps an old house functioning properly. But it's not updating interior fixtures.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do, Laura, is the current contract has some loopholes and some information or lack of information that gives clarity to the people who want to apply for it, as well as for us to then agree to it. So what
Right,
Mike was
I
talking
agree.
about is that the current contract had a whole list of like 2 or 3 pages of things that you could apply for as part of your Mills Act. And it had things in there that really weren't related to
Carpeting.
our purview, which was the exterior of the house. It was interior things.
Right.
It was drapes, it was lamps, and that was in the contract. So that gave them the right to do that. So that's why
Well, that
those
doesn't
current
make
ones
any
got
sense.
approved. So we're now going through and cleaning up those things to make it more appropriate. So you might think it sounds a little bit more nitty picky and nitty gritty and whatever on things, but now we're just trying to make it more coherent and actually be applicable. So again, we're trying to make it better. So it does encourage people to use it and encourage it to use it correctly and properly,
Right.
so that it's a
I
win-win
totally
for
agree with
everybody.
that. I was completely unaware of that list. I should probably go back and read our Mills Act as we wrote it when we got it approved. How many years ago? Was it 8 years ago now?
It would be very helpful from the subcommittee if you read that and then read again all our
Yeah.
notes from last week or last meeting, and
Oh, I
then
did. I read all those.
and then come back and send us your input of what you
Yeah.
think would be
Yeah.
appropriate. Then we have another set of eyes and ears that's giving
Yeah.
an idea of what changes should be made.
Okay. Okay, I will do that. I will get the original. I did read all the notes from the previous meeting. I will do that.
And then if you
I
could
am
go item by item like we did at the last
Yeah.
meeting and give us your feedback. Yes, no, here's
Right.
why. That would be
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah.
Because we want to make this as
Okay.
concise and as you
Yeah.
stated, as simple
Yeah.
as we can for people, so that if they
Clean
look
and
at the Mills
simple, I
Act
think
and they
it's
go, oh
more-
gee, here's what I could get done if I had the Mills Act. Here's what would be applicable.
Right.
Here's what the Historic Preservation Board would like to see. These are the kinds
Right.
of things that the Mills Act would
Right.
cover, and not some of those
Right.
other things that old list has on them, because it's
Right, I agree.
not good.
Okay, I will do that.
And then send your list to Daniel, and then he will distribute
Okay.
to all of us so that we have that
Okay.
to then look at.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do that.
Homework.
Homework.
Great. So thank you for the update. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, I appreciate all the work. I know it's a lot of work between meetings, so appreciate all the work you guys are doing. And I know Daniel's been pulled in a million directions, so I know that there's a lot of falls on his shoulders. So appreciate the help there, and we'll get it through. And again, I think the good news is we're all in violent agreement on the goal of what we want to have happen here. So
Cleaning it up.
yeah.
Yep.
Great. That's all I have on my agenda.
I have one question. This is for Daniel. There was to be public comment by a private citizen. Is that going to be discussed today, or do we hold off on that?
Well, I mean, public comment generally only needs to be discussed or brought into the record when the matter is being officially considered. So at such time the board does come up with a formal recommendation to the city council, then her comment can be included in the materials.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, if nothing else, then in order to save Corinne from doing another roll call, I will declare adjournment of our committee until our December meeting. Thanks everyone for coming.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.